Welcome to my series on mental health. I want to call this section as Understanding Mental Health Beyond the Buzzword because I'm afraid it's become a bit of a buzzword today. Ever since COVID-19, there's been a lot of talk on mental health on a daily basis. And that's great, really, because there's a lot of information, education. But what's concerning is when the source from where we are getting all this information may not be so credible, because there can be a lot of misinformation and people might just accept the information thinking it's really valid. But that's where we need to sit with a little bit of caution, for which understanding the mental health language for ourselves can be extremely helpful. This is the main goal with which this whole series is designed. What do we really mean when we say mental health? The key point to understand is the difference between mental health and mental illness. Mental health is general state of your well-being, state of mind. It's something that should be looked after. Just like how your physical health, you have a body and you need to maintain it well. Similarly, you have a mind and you need to maintain it well. Sadly, most of us, we ignore, and that's where most of our problems stem from. Mental health is an essential part of overall health. So it's not just absence of some kind of mental disorder. And mental health impacts, I don't have to say this, every aspect of your life, right from how you think, feel, and act, how you behave with other people, how your relationships are, how you perform at work, at your school, college, in your romantic relationships, with your family, in every possible aspect of your life. Mental illness, on the other hand, is something that clearly calls for an intervention with a professional. It's something when your mental state is disrupted. It interrupts with how you think, feel, act, and behave. Common examples of mental illnesses that come under diagnosing are anxiety disorders, mood disorders, which include depression, bipolar, etc., personality disorders, eating disorders, psychotic disorders, which include schizophrenia and such, and post-traumatic stress disorder, which is usually called as PTSD, many more so. You can think of it this way. Mental health is not just defined by what is wrong, but it's equally defined by what is strong. What that means is somebody may not have a diagnosable criteria for a mental illness, but they may still struggle with things like lack of motivation, sense of purpose, emotional numbness, chronic stress, or difficulty coping with change, unhealthy relationship pattern, burnout, sense of self-worth, procrastination, so many of such things that come in the way of leading good lives for ourselves. Now, mental health is not just one single thing. It usually is looked at as a triad of emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. So the first one to look at is emotional well-being, which is how we feel. The very first thing about this dimension is to understand your emotions. To have a basic vocabulary of the language for emotions. What are the different kind of feelings, emotions that we have? How do we know what's different from what? How exactly is, for example, happiness different from joy? How exactly is sadness different from grief? How exactly is depression different from apathy? To know the difference and to know the exact label for an emotion is important, because that's how we make sense of who we are. That's how we make sense of how my life is at any moment. Our feelings, our emotions are really a sort of a mirror to kind of understand our life. Now, it may seem like a small thing, but you'd be surprised at how little emotional intelligence most people have, how little emotional literacy most people have. In fact, this is one of the first things that we often work with our clients in therapy, most commonly, to help our clients to understand their emotional world and to be better able to identify and name and express their emotions better. So the first step is in having a good vocabulary to identify your emotions, and then comes the managing part. Only when you know what you're feeling is when you can do something about it, right? If you have no idea what's going on internally, there's no way you can do something about it externally in order to settle whatever that situation is. Expressing emotions is also part of emotional well-being, and this is again one of the common challenges that people may face in expressing emotions freely because of many factors like upbringing, conditioning, how we are how well we are usually taught about emotional expression, how healthy emotions are, how healthy it is to express your emotions right from our childhood, and things like that. Together, we call this emotional intelligence, and it is something that we all should be taught about right from our schooling. The next part in the triangle is psychological well being, how you think. Now, this dimension deals with things as sense of identity, sense of autonomy, sense of meaning and purpose, your ability to solve problems, clarity of thought, all these attitudes. It is a state of mental prosperity and functioning. Healthy psychological functioning helps you to make better life choices, make better decisions without any kind of distortions or lack of clarity of mind, and to view yourself realistically. The last part of the triangle is social well being. This is your ability to build and manage healthy and supportive relationships. It influences your communication, sense of belonging, your boundaries, how you navigate conflict, and how connected and supported you feel in the community that you come from, which is so important, especially in today's times when it's really missing in metro cities. Good social well-being often makes you feel rooted and grounded in your life rather than feeling isolated or disconnected. So the next time you hear this buzzword again, mental health, maybe a good way you can make use of that is to ask yourself, how is my emotional world today? How are my thoughts functioning? How connected and belonged do I feel? Because more than just the absence of distress, like I already said, good mental health in life means having a life that feels fulfilling, well rooted, well connected, and well reassuring in how you are yourself. Checking in with yourself is often a great start in working towards nurturing it. So, to sum up, mental health is not just about feeling okay. It's a whole system that impacts how you think, how you feel, and how you act. How your emotional functioning is, how your psychological functioning is, and how your social functioning is. When the triad is balanced, you experience stability, a more groundedness, a balanced state of mind, and healthier relationships. And when the triad is out of balance, you see the effects in thoughts, moods, and behaviors. Mental health is really not a luxury. It's a basic hygiene that all of us need to be able to understand and talk about it, express about it freely. I hope this helped. I'll see you in the next part.